He built an empire on diesel fumes, monster trucks, and viral chaos. From backyard builds to global fame, David Heavy D Sparks turned wrenching into a brand and horsepower into headline gold. But then, seemingly overnight, he sold it all. The trucks, the tools, the iconic garage that once housed millions of dollars in diesel power. Gone. No drama. No breakdown. Just one video with a quiet title. We're selling everything. Fans were left stunned. Was he walking away? Was he broke? Burned out? Or was there something deeper going on, something Heavy D hadn't said out loud? This is the untold story of how a diesel king rose, fell, and then made the most unexpected pivot of all. Before the cameras, before Discovery Channel, before YouTube ever heard of him, David Sparks was just a kid from Utah with an obsession. Engines, power, and anything loud enough to shake the earth. He didn't grow up with money, but he had hustle in his blood. He started flipping junk cars as a teenager, buying low and selling high to fund new builds. While most kids were saving for video games, Heavy D was stockpiling parts in the backyard, turning scrap metal into street monsters. Eventually, that obsession grew into something bigger. Alongside his best friend Diesel Dave, he co-founded DieselSellerz, a one-stop shop for diesel fanatics. What began in a garage quickly grew into a social media machine. By 2016, the internet couldn't get enough of their lifted trucks, chrome stacks, and no-rules attitude. That's when Discovery Channel came calling, and the Diesel Brothers TV show was born. But this wasn't your average car build series. Heavy D didn't just restore old pickups. He built machines that defied logic. 6-door semis, 15-foot lifts, flamethrowers, military-grade suspensions. Each episode felt like horsepower on steroids. Heavy D wasn't just the face of the show, he was its engine. His charisma, wild ideas, and fearless energy turned Diesel Brothers into a hit. From YouTube to arena tours, sponsorships to viral giveaways, he built a brand that was both outlaw and icon. But while fans were cheering, something darker was building behind the scenes. In the same year Diesel Brothers launched, a group of Utah doctors filed a federal lawsuit that shook the diesel community. They accused Heavy D and his team of intentionally modifying trucks to bypass emissions. Systems of practice known as rolling coal, which shoots thick black smoke into the air. To fans, it was part of diesel culture. But to the Environmental Protection Agency, it was a direct violation of the Clean Air Act. Heavy D argued they were entertainers, not environmental threats. But the legal system didn't agree. After years of litigation, a judge hit them with over $850,000 in fines, later reduced to about $600,000 on appeal. It wasn't just a financial hit, it was a public image crisis. The rebel brand was suddenly tied to pollution, regulation, and legal risk. The very thing that made Diesel Brothers popular, pushing the limits, was now a liability. The impact was immediate. On screen, fans noticed something had changed. The builds were still wild, but the language was more careful. Less talk about emissions. Fewer stunts. More calculated, brand-safe content. Behind the scenes, DieselSellerz had to tighten operations. The chaos that once fueled the brand now posed legal risks. Some fans applauded the maturity. Others said the magic was fading. And Heavy D? He started to retreat. No dramatic exits. No declarations. Just fewer interviews, more silence, and a slow change in tone. He wasn't burned out yet. But something had shifted. Then in 2024, Heavy D made a move that stunned everyone. He acquired the rights to the Nikola Badger, a failed electric truck that had become a symbol of broken promises in the EV world. Most people had written the Badger off as vaporware, a non-overhyped fantasy that never saw production. But Heavy D saw potential where others saw wreckage. He launched a new brand called Ember Motors, aiming to revive the Badger into a real off-road electric monster. It was a massive gamble. His core audience, mostly diesel loyalists, saw EVs as the enemy. But Heavy D wasn't chasing approval. He was chasing evolution. He poured time, money, and sweat into EMBR. He posted teaser builds, shared dev updates, and hinted at a full-scale launch. But behind the excitement was a different energy. Exhaustion. Not the kind that comes from a late night in the shop, but the kind that comes from carrying the weight of reinvention. And then came the video. That changed everything. No big promotion. No viral trailer. Just a calm upload titled, "We're selling everything." And he meant it. Heavy D announced he was liquidating almost everything inside DieselSellerz. The custom trucks, the military builds, the semis, the tools, the gear, even the compound itself. At first, fans thought it was a publicity stunt. But the tone was different. Heavy D wasn't hyping anything. He wasn't emotional. Just focused. He said it was time for a major life reset, not bankruptcy, not failure, just space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to figure out what came next. What followed wasn't a big comeback. There was no new show. No Diesel Brothers reboot. Just occasional posts, quieter, more thoughtful. Gone were the flame-throwing trucks and turbocharged chaos. In their place, personal reflections, family moments, honest thoughts about stress, purpose, and identity. In one video, he admitted something most people in the spotlight never do. He said he had spent years chasing bigger, louder, faster, but forgot to ask if he even still loved it. And that realization, it hit harder than any lawsuit. That's why he cleared the shop. Not because he was running away, but because he was finally slowing down enough to choose differently. Today, Ember Motors is still alive, but it's quieter. Less hype, more development. No flashy deadlines. No constant updates. Just steady progress. Heavy D hasn't quit. He hasn't vanished. He's still building, still creating. But now, he's doing it on his own terms. No longer the diesel outlaw with something to prove. Now, he's a strategist, a founder, a father, a builder rethinking what it means to build. And while some fans miss the chaos, others are inspired by the growth, because behind the chrome stacks and camera cuts, there was always a man who understood machines. And now, he's finally building something for himself, even if the world isn't watching every turn of the wrench. David Heavy D Sparks didn't crash and burn. He pumped the brakes. In a world that glorifies non-stop hustle and burnout, choosing to slow down might be the boldest move of all. He's no longer chasing noise. He's chasing meaning. And whether or not he ever returns to the spotlight, one thing is certain. You don't have to stay loud to stay legendary.